welcome to this live stream. I'm very happy to welcome you to this stream. And I just want to explain to my fellow brothers and sisters why the perpetrators of the Utumishi fire probably will go scot-free in less than 5 years. Do you know why? Because number one, they could not be positively identified. If the video is not clear, if it is in the dark, it is in the dark. You cannot take a dark video to a court of law. Because number one, it was not, nobody knows who lit the fire. A student can defend themselves and say, ladies and gentlemen, that I was approached while I was sleeping. Somebody called me and told me that the dormitory, somebody can say, I was woken up because somebody told me that there was some smell of kerosene. And I decided to wake up and follow the rest, because somebody can defend themselves and say, I was approached because the dorm there was a smell of kerosene in the dormitory. Yes. And so I decided to wake up to go and check which part of the dormitory was smelling kerosene. So if you ask this person, okay, what were you doing in the video? Those students will say, maybe I was concerned because there was the smell of kerosene. And I woke my other friends to go and check which part of the dormitory was smelling of kerosene. And then, lo and behold, the dormitory started burning, and I don't know who started the fire. So they will all come up with the same excuse that they were concerned that maybe they started smelling the smell of kerosene, and they were worried that the dormitory would start burning anytime. And that is the same thing that they will go and say, that they were not the ones who, they don't know where the fire came from, you know. And number three, that there's a problem of these students will be coached on how to answer the questions. You see, that's the issue of this case, because that video, number one, I've said, that video is not clear. So you cannot really positively say that they were planning to burn. Somebody can say, yes, they were planning to burn the dormitory, but you can also say they were asking each other questions. Like, what is that smell? I'm hearing the smell of kerosene. What is that smell? So the fact that they were seen together prior to the fire does not necessarily mean that they were planning on how to destroy the dormitory. So that evidence that is being circulated is not really concrete evidence to pin these girls. And another question, so who started the fire? They will all say, I was not there. I was already outside when the fire started. I was not the one. Everybody will say, I just joined the 7 because I was curious. I wanted to know what is going on. So I wanted to know. I followed them unconsciously. I did not know what was happening. How will you say that they were planning to destroy the dormitory? Somebody can say, maybe I sleepwalk. I like walking at night. Are there people who sleepwalk? There are people who sleepwalk. Will you say that people who sleepwalk are trying to burn the dormitory? Somebody will say, maybe I just sometimes I was preparing myself. Maybe I was going to the toilet. Because you cannot say, one thing I'm trying to say is this, You cannot pin that video on the girls. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, it's clear. It's very clear from the video that they were planning to ban. That is very clear. But you cannot take that video and say that this is what was happening. Yes, they are seen, but were they heard? What was the conversation that they were having? So you see now this case, it's not really open and shut case. Ladies and gentlemen, this case will start disintegrating, and if that is the evidence that they have, then they will. It's an open and shut case, because what will happen, as I said, it will be a miscarriage of justice. Are we together? Because this is a group. Prosecuting a group is not, because how many years will you give each one of them? Will you give, if you're a judge, will you give each student 10 years? And maybe somebody was just maybe the people who follow each other, maybe they're just curious, they wanted to know. Do they all have shared interest in banning the dormitory? Who was the one who was the progenitor of the idea? Who was the one who came up with the idea in the first place? You cannot say that seven girls came up with the same idea that same night. Can you say 7 girls hatched the plan? So who hatched the plan? Cannot be identified. Is there any girl who will say, I'm the one who convinced the rest to start the fire? Can you say that? But you see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to say this very clearly, that number one, there is no girl who will take responsibility. And if a girl is given 10 years, the other girls are given 5 years, she will argue a case in court and say, you know what, why am I the one who's supposed to carry the burden for the rest? Yes. And if one of them argues their case successfully and they will say, why have you released that one and not me? And we were in the same group together. You see how difficult it is? It's becoming difficult every moment. And that's why I'm saying, even before this thing goes to court, there will be a miscarriage of the legal process. All right? Because yes, even if you say, we are going to hold these girls until we finish investigations. Now I want to ask you, how long will you hold the girls? They will just come and argue. Yes, how long will you, how long will you say that you're holding the girls while you're doing investigation? The lawyers will come and tell those investigating officers that release the girls while they go back to school. They're still minors, they need to go back to school. So, yes, while you're doing your investigations, while they know very well that they cannot pin that entire story to one girl. Do you see how difficult it is? It is, in fact, most people thought, ladies and gentlemen, that it's going to be very easy since that video is out there circulating in our internet. But that is not evidence enough, because there is no facial recognition software in Kenya. Is there any facial recognition software? Is there any facial recognition software in Kenya? Is there any mandatory facial recognition software? And if you are to use facial recognition software, all these girls have the same hairstyle. How will you say that how can you positively identify this person? Number 3, some of them have the same height. Some of them have the same height. When you look at them, all of them, they look like they have the same height. So how can you say that this one and this one is not this one? And you see, in that video, how did the teachers positively identify the other girls who are behind? You see, maybe they identified the first two in front of the video. How did those teachers identify the other four who are behind the two? How did they identify them? How did they identify the students? Another question I want to ask you guys: how did they obtain the evidence? How did they obtain the evidence? Because, number one, in this issue, you cannot, number one, obtain evidence by duress. You cannot pressure somebody to give you evidence. That will be against the rules. It's like the teachers forced the students to confess. Because a student can go and say, because students fear teachers, they will say, this particular teacher forced me to confess to a crime I did not commit. I was forced to write a confession. They will say that, like, I was forced to confess. How will you pin them in a court of law? That's why I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, that there will be a miscarriage of justice. Any questions? Did you enjoy our channel? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me from. Do you love our channel? Feel free to be part and parcel of our channel. Any question? Any questions up there? Feel free to be part of this new streams and tell me where you're watching me from. So, for those who believe that this is an open and shut case of these girls, maybe you need to go and check, admissibility of evidence in a court of law. Is this, even they can apply and say that, this evidence, is not even clear. What they see in the CCTV footage are girls who are just clustered together, and then they move, and then all of a sudden they run away. Does that qualify as these are the ones who planned the murder? So here, ladies and gentlemen, that is why up to now they have not been. Yes, they have been. That is why their faces. In fact, no newspaper is even allowed to print their photos yet. That tells you how difficult this case is. Any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. That is why the Daily Nation has not yet published the photos of these particular girls. If you look at the case of Changuli Secondary School here in Machakos, there were two boys who were the main culprits. It was very clear. And that boy was called Felix Ngumbao. So they knew this was the one who lit the fire. So in this case of Utumishi girls, it is not the same as Changuli. Because in Changuli, there were the one main suspect in Changuli, who was called Felix Ngumbao. So printing the picture of Felix Ngumbao was okay because they knew there is no other suspect. But here we have, this is a case of 7 suspects. Who is the one who's supposed to take, who's the one who will be the scapegoat? Who will be the scapegoat? So up to now, that's why I'm trying to explain. Up to now, that is why the Daily Nation, the Standard Nation, has only printed the pictures of the victims, but not of the perpetrators. Because now, if a standard newspaper or national newspaper publish the pictures of those girls, they will be contravening the law. They will be contravening the law. And that student can sue the newspaper for what? For character assassination, even if they were part of the whole team. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe and comment, and kindly subscribe to all my channels. And tell me where you're watching me from. Do you enjoy our channels? Kindly subscribe to all of them. Subscribe to thank you for subscribing, the ones who are watching Raymond Mutuku live, and also the Chariots of Fire. Kindly subscribe to all of them, as I will try to explain to you some of these issues that are questions of public interest, or a question of, any questions? Feel free to subscribe and comment. Any questions after there? So, yes, the students. Now, another issue, and I want us to dig deeper and answer the questions. Now, if a student is said, which student will be a reliable witness who will testify against the others? Still, if a student comes up to testify, they will defend themselves and say that this student was number one, was a prefect, and of course a prefect will be biased. Maybe she had the prefect maybe didn't like the girls, so they're saying they will defend themselves and say that this witness is unreliable and not neutral, and maybe has their own personal vendetta. So in any case, any student comes up to try to pin these girls and say that I saw this one, they will ask the girl the question, it was dark, how did you see that girl? It was very dark. Because they will say, how did you see me? It was dark. It was dark. When you say yes, and if they remove the video and say, I'm not the one, I don't know who this is, because it was dark. So how can you say that if it is dark, that is why they always ask you, did you see me? Because if they are even taken to the witness stand, did you see me? That girl will, if they are asked, a girl will say, did you see me with a matchbox? That's the question. For example, let's just think about it for a second here. Now, one girl says she was among the girls who lit up the dormitory. But of course, she will ask the other girls, did you see me with a matchbox? Did you see me with a matchbox? No. Did you see me? As long as you did not see her with a matchbox. So you're saying I'm the one who burned the dormitory. Okay, did you see me with fire? Or did you see me with a matchbox? Of course they say, no, I did not see you, but I know you're the one. No, I'm asking you, did you see me with a matchbox? Did you see me? with a matchbox? Of course, the answer will be no. So if you did not see me with a matchbox, how did I light up the dormitory? So that is the question. Which girl had the matchbox in that video? That is the question I want to ask my fellow Kenyans. If you people are saying that they were positively identified, now I want to ask a very simple questions to my fellow Kenyans. Which girl in the video that is being circulated was seen with a matchbox? Which one? Yes, DCI officers. Which girl in the video is seen lighting the fire? Can I tell you for free? Can I tell you for free? There's no one. Which girl? No, I want you guys to answer the question. Which girl held a matchbox in his hand? Which girl? Yes, you are saying the 7 were the ones who touched the dormitory. I'm asking you, which girl had the matchbox in his hand? Because that dormitory the fire was started with the one who had the matchbox. So which girl had the matchbox? You realize that Kenyans cannot answer that question. Yes, even in the evidence that is being presented, you realize what will happen. Yes, there was malfeasance. There was malfeasance. I agree. But I can tell you for free that there will be miscarriage of justice. Because and then when you say the ones who were in Cube 11 are the ones who started the fire. Now I want to ask you again another question. Of the 2 girls who were in Cube 11, which one of them had the matchbox? Which one? And if you take the 2 of them and say, were you the one? Because we have to identify the one who lit the fire. So it means from the evidence that was adduced to us, it means there were only 2 girls in Cube 11. Right? So it means the culprits are 2. And out of the 2 that entered in Cube 11, which one among the 2 was the one who started the fire? But from the evidence that was adduced to us, it was not clear who started the fire. What was clear was those 2 girls ran out of Cube 11. So, ladies and gentlemen, even if you take any judge, even those ones of the Supreme Court, the likes of Njoki Ndung'u, and take that video evidence to her and ask her that question, they can give me a paper and I will be the one to ask her this question. Which girl from the video had the matchbox? Which girl? Tell us. You can even zoom. Which girl had the matchbox? From the video that was adduced to us, we see the girls, each one holding their slippers. Holding your slippers in your hand, does it mean that you are part of a criminal group? Maybe you just don't want to awaken the others. Is that evidence enough to prove that you are part of a gang of girls who want to destroy the dormitory? No, I'm just asking you. So when you look at it from every angle, you realize that they will get away with it. They will get away with it. All these girls, and I want to tell you for free, they will get away with it. Why? Because in this particular issue of Utumishi Girls Academy, it is not the same as what happened in Changuli. And clearly, it is not the same as what happened in Hills Academy in Endarasha. Because from that pattern, we have noticed that it must have been a student of Endarasha. Even what happened in last year in Endarasha. Going with this trend, and going with the trend is that most probably it was a student of Endarasha. And of course, they did their investigations, and it was found out that there was a student who started the fire, but there was no clear evidence. So these girls, they will say that they want their photo to be protected, and they're still minors. They need to be protected. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, there will be a miscarriage of justice. Any questions out there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. Do you enjoy our streams? I love this. Any question? You can ask me your questions while I'm here. Welcome to our streams. I love it's 5:31 a.m. Tell me where you're watching me from. Do you enjoy our live coverage? We are live in both of our channels. I'm live in the Chariots of Fire. I'm also live here in Raymond Mutuku Live. Any questions? Any questions? And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Another question somebody was asking me is that they will ask, are Kenyans supposed to obey the orders of a foreign president? That is another question that we are supposed to answer. Or can another country dictate the events or the doings of another country? Or can an agreement override our constitution? That is the question that we'll be asking ourselves this morning. Can you say that an agreement between Kenya and the United States, is that agreement superior than our constitution? Which reigns supreme? Is it international agreements or our constitution? Which reigns supreme? Which reigns supreme? Any questions up to there? And this agreement was between who and who? Were Kenyans part of the agreement? Were Kenyans consulted and told that we should be, we should defend? Were Kenyans consulted when that agreement was being signed? The answer is no. When it came to the constitution, Kenyans were consulted and they were told, we are now having a new constitution. In the issue of prevention, or in the issue of bilateral agreements, in fact, right now, Kenyans are waking up to the fact that they didn't know such an agreement existed. Were Kenyans aware that there was such an agreement? Were Kenyans aware that there was an agreement that they should host American citizens? Were they aware in the first place? Were they aware, or were they consulted? You see, now these are two issues. Number one, they were not aware. The ones who came up with this agreement did not publish in the public, or advertise somewhere that, number one, Kenya is getting into an agreement with the US. We are supposed to take any victims of Ebola, It was not advertised, number one. Kenyans just woke up to the fact that there's a plane with patients coming from Congo to Kenya. But were Kenyans given sufficient time to think of it? Were they given sufficient time? Were Kenyans given sufficient time to debate on this issue? You realize that no Kenyan was even consulted. It's like you are selling my kidney without my knowledge. How can you? It's like you are the broker of my kidney. You are selling my kidney. The kidney is mine, and I'm not consulted. Are we together? That is exactly what is happening. It's like I've given you a very good example. It's like you have already found a customer for my kidney. You have a customer in line. You have discussed the price of my kidney. You have already decided when that kidney will be sold. But the owner of the kidney is not aware that their kidney is being sold. That's exactly, what I'm trying to say, And in this particular issue, the kidney owner is Kenyans, and our kidney is being sold. They've already found a customer. The only person who was left in the dark are the owners. Any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. I'm very happy this morning to be here. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. For example, how can you discuss? How can you discuss, number one, what is happening? It is like somebody, who knows your wife better than you. Is that really, how is it that our issues, our private issues, that are concerning us, how is it that they know a lot, they know so much than us? And what makes it even worse is that somebody has already taken that 1.7 billion that was remitted from the US. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Feel free up to there. Subscribe and comment. I'm very happy this morning to be here. If you're new to this channel, feel free to be part and parcel of our program. Wow. Any questions? Did you enjoy our channel? Kindly subscribe to both of them and feel free to be part and parcel of our streams. Any questions? Any questions? And if you're new to this channel, be part of our program. Any questions up to there? Any questions? Just about to leave. It is morning. Good morning. So any questions? So now, right now, today, what really is going to transpire is that people will go to the streets again to protest this new Ebola thing. They will go to the streets to protest. Are you in support of the protest? And if you ask me, this 1.7 billion that was provided by the US government, could have been used to build quarantine, even more than 10 quarantine projects in Congo. Right? Yes. And it could have done a lot of work. But you see, this 1.5, somebody had to make sure that they get the 1.7 billion first. Yes. You see, that is the issue here, is that, and how we were blackmailed, is that, number one, it's like they first gave us the reason why they are disobeying court orders, and I want to explain this. I had a politician talking about it. It is not that a particular leader is the one who is disobeying court orders. No. The only explanation you can give is very simple, that this 1.7 billion shillings was, number one, remitted to Kenyans. And this 1.7 billion has already is already in the circulation. So that is why they're coming, because they already paid. Are we together? Yes, they're coming because, and that is why we cannot, that's why people have to go to the streets, because they know somebody, you see, this money 1.7 million, 1.7 billion is already in the pockets, or has already bought land, has already done everything. This 1.7 billion that we are talking about is already in the stomachs. It has already settled in the stomach of our leaders. So when it's not that it has not been paid, it has been paid already. That is why they are on their way coming, and that is why Kenyans are wondering why is it that that disrespecting court order. I will answer you and say that the court order is already late, because already people have already chewed the money. Any questions up there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Do you enjoy our streams? Any questions? Any questions up there? Any questions? So for those who are asking the question, have the girls been arraigned in court? That is why I'm trying to say that the DCI or the officers cannot positively identify those girls, because that video is not clear. It was shot in the dark. The CCTV footage was in the dark. So you cannot positively identify somebody. You cannot adduce that evidence in a court of law. It's not admissible in a court of law. That is what I'm trying to explain. And some people are wondering, what are you explaining? I'm just saying that somebody can just go to court and say that was not me. Maybe I was not agreeing with this teacher, and maybe I was that girl you see in the video is not me. And you see, and I'm trying to explain to you guys in a very simple mechanism here. The only person who can be identified, the only people that's why this is a very complicated case. The only people who can be identified in that video accurately There's no one. No one is seen lighting the fire. No one. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? So when you see, and I'm trying to explain to you guys, and that's why I'm saying there will be a miscarriage of justice, because nobody was seen with a matchbox, even a matchbox, a small thing like a matchbox. In that video of Utumishi girls, did you see anyone with a matchbox? That's a very simple question. Who among the 7 girls had the matchbox? Who among the 7? That's a very simple question. A very simple question. But that one will be open and shut. A very simple question, but very technical. I'm asking you. Yes, you are saying from the video footage that was adduced to us that the 7 were involved in the arson, in the act of arson. Now, they were involved. Now, I'm asking you guys a question. Since you are saying it's a destruction of property, this is a case called offenses against property. Okay, I have a question. Whom among the 7 girls had the matchbox? Whom among the 7 had the matchbox? Yes. Any questions up to there? That's what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm saying. In this particular case, all of these 7 girls will go scot-free. Exactly what happened to the main suspect at Changuli Secondary School. The main suspect eventually walked home. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions? Now, if you look at the issue of Changuli, you realize that and can I surprise you guys? I saw this suspect and I'm very, very surprised. And there's a politician in Mavoko called Felix Mambo who whose name people were asking is called and that is a story that has been trending in Kenya, because since the fire in Utumishi, people have been asking what happened to that young man who was called Felix Mambo Gumbao. What happened? Because his name was circulated. And that started a debate, and people were asking, who is Felix Mambo Gumbao? What happened to him? Some say he died, but the conspiracy theory that he did not die. They just published uh, an obituary claiming that he died. Because if you go to the internet and search for that name, you get a rest in peace kind of, it happened. They say that he died, but when you do your um, when you do your homework, you realize that he is still alive. There are rumors that he's still alive and that he did not die, as claimed by Any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. Any questions? And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me from. So there was that story that the perpetrator of Changuli Secondary School was a young man called Felix Mambo Mgumbao. And there was a story that he died. But remember, that was fake news. He never died. For those who are questioning whether he died, no, he never died. Any questions up to there? Feel free to be part and parcel of our streams. I am your host, Raymond Mutuku. Welcome to this channel. Any questions? Any questions up to there? And if you're new to this channel, feel free to be part and parcel of our streams. Any questions? Do you enjoy our streams? Any questions while we're here? Any questions? Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Any questions? So that ghost of Changuli came to bite this young man called Felix Mambo. I don't know, but these guys, any questions up to there? Any questions up there? I just finished. That's why I was explaining to you guys today morning that what happened to the perpetrator of Changuli Boys High School is a school that was burned in the year 2001. And what happened was there was miscarriage of justice. The individual was not jailed because there was no evidence. The evidence was not available. So this is not an issue of, yes, the suspect was arraigned in court, but they failed to prove that he was the one who started the fire. The same thing will happen in this particular case. That is why up to today, that is Tuesday, that is Monday, yesterday, those girls were the ones who were supposed to be arraigned in court. But since the DCI officers are in a quagmire, number one, they could not identify who started the fire. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the fire did not start by itself. You cannot say that the seven started, collectively started the fire. So that question, who started the fire? Number one, that is the first question, and that is where they will fail. In the first question, who started the fire? Even from the video that has been adduced to the media, number two, that video cannot be admissible in a court of law because that video is not clear. Then there was no light in that video. There was no audio in that video. So that video is not helpful to any court of law. That video is not helpful because even in the video, it does not offer concrete information. It only assists them in the preliminary parts of the investigation, but it cannot pass the threshold of the kind of evidence that can be admissible in a court of law. It can never pass stage two. It will only help them in stage one. But even in stage one, you can see that there are gaps in that video. Number one, can you see any girl holding a torch or maybe holding a matchbox? Did you see anyone holding a matchbox in that video? A very small issue, but will change a lot of things. And if you say that the seven girls were the ones who, they're the suspects, what happened to the presumption of justice that you are innocent until proven guilty by a court of law? So this issue of Utumishi Girls Academy is not even, it's trial by public opinion. This is trial by public opinion or trial by media. This is not a trial by a court of law. This is a trial by the media. So here we face, or these girls face one problem. They are judged, prosecuted, all at once by the same people without being given a chance to defend themselves. So this is actually trial by media. That is why people cannot understand why it's slowing down, because they expected the faces of those girls to be published, but that is not the way the law works. All right, are we together? So you see here, there's that problem of this issue of Otumishi girls is now being used to sell newspapers. You see, that is the problem of this kind of business model, is because these people who are writing the stories, want to write very juicy stories so that they can sell newspapers. But even if you look for, any iota of justice in those articles, you'll find nothing. Because here, presumption of justice dictates that a person is innocent until they are proven guilty by a court of law. That's why I'm saying that there is no evidence to prove that these are the girls who did that. Yes, they were seen in the CCTV, but I was hearing what Murkomen was saying, that it shows the level of malfeasance in our country. But can you say that was illegal assembly? You cannot accuse these girls of engaging in that was not you can say, or you can defend yourself and say you can call it illegal assembly while others were sleeping. That was illegal assembly while others were doing what? Were sleeping. But does that qualify as being actively involved in lighting up the fire? And how many students entered to Cube 11? How many? Were they all of them? So that's why I'm saying that that's what it's like the students knew, and number one, and if I look at that footage, let me look at it again. Utumishi footage. We are going to analyze the footage kidogo. Just give me a minute. Footage, and let's look for those elements that I've already discussed. You see the first girl covered her face. All right. The first girl covered her face. So she knew that there was an issue of, and when you look at, let's look at it again. How many girls were there? We're going to analyze this thing. Any questions up there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. Now, you see, and I'm going to explain to you, from where I'm seated, you cannot positively identify any girl. Any questions over there? And I've been looking at this footage, trying to analyze it. Any questions up there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. Any questions up there? And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions? if you're new to this channel, feel free to be part and parcel of our streams. It's around 6 Kenyan time, and yeah, let's continue reading and talking. Hope you're enjoying our streams. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh yeah, hallelujah. Okay. Oh yes.